Today we discuss releasing identification to fear-based beliefs in relation to rejection and criticism through self-talk via the 7 stages of spiritual alchemy. I see the stages as a journey of acknowledgement, that you already are your ideal now, as many opportunities to acknowledge this are presented along the way. At times they may be disguised as fear, in the direction of what you desire, not to scare you, nor hold you back. For we know here that the cave we fear to enter holds the treasure that we seek as we step into the unknown to reveal our gold. And all outer related circumstances fall aside, like garments no longer in style, like James Allen once said. Very soon, so altered has their mind become that the workshop can no longer hold them. It has become so out of harmony with their mentality that it falls out of their life as a garment is cast aside, and with the growth of opportunities, which fit the scope of their expanding powers, they pass out of it forever. You are the only suggester inside in relation to the outer aspects of life. What one would consider criticism or rejection is actually neutral. The fear of it comes from subconsciously accepted beliefs. In relationships, fear of rejection may show up if someone sees another that they would like to meet and subconsciously holds themselves back from starting a conversation with them, unnecessarily suffering in the process. I can't tell you how many times those conversations, moving forward with them, regardless of the fear of rejection, translated into mutually beneficial relationships, and I trust this is not new to you as well. That one does not need to be restrained by fear of rejection. They could simply speak themselves into the flow, and next thing you know, everything works out ideally. Recall for a moment, if you did something from one state of mind, it felt hard. You did that same thing from another state of mind, and it felt easy. It's all about the mental state you operate from. In day-to-day life, it could be a certain behavioral pattern, a habit form that is no longer helpful, like procrastinating by looking around to see what others are doing, and based on what they interpret of what others say they should do, which is actually their own beliefs in mind playing out, hold themselves back from doing what they really want to do. Perhaps fear of criticism, beliefs in mind, that others won't accept them, which is simply not true, as others reflect our state. You accept yourself, and they reflect it. They reflect your degree of self-acceptance. Put it to the test, and you'll see. One may find themselves in an environment where the train of thought contained is so dogmatic and restrictive that they find that their desires are being suppressed. And even though there is a desire to move on, a fear-based belief is brought to awareness to be released, which, if there's only release from it and operation from their vision, the desire of their heart rather than the belief, it would dissolve, as James Allen mentioned, altering their mind, and as a result, the workshop, or we could say environment, no longer seems to hold on to them as they were the ones inside, holding on to that environment as a result of that belief in mind. And now it has become so out of harmony with their mentality that it falls out of their life as a garment is cast aside. And with the growth of opportunities, which fit the scope of their expanding powers, they pass out of it forever into a new scope of opportunities, and the journey continues. Now, in relation to these examples, what I believe is that if something is both fearful and desirable, a nice mix of the two, I'm actually going to go do it. For it is the desire of my heart. It is the calling, a promise of what I shall one day realize, as Neville Goddard once said. The spiritual self speaks to the natural self through the language of desire. The key to progress in life and to the fulfillment of dreams lies in ready obedience to its voice. Unhesitating obedience to its voice is an immediate assumption of the wish fulfilled. To desire a state is to have it. So to desire a state is to have it. Neville exemplified purity of heart, I can tell, from studying his information over the years. So you have it as well. You have everything within you. You are complete inside. And all that is required to make your desire a reality is within you. If illusions of fear in relation to criticism or rejection show up in mind, acknowledge that they shall disappear as you move forward with your initiatives, with unhesitating obedience to your inner voice, which guides you to realizing your vision. A notable mention: what if the desire is not there? Well, stimulate that desire. As Rumi once said, seek those who fan your flames. And while you're at it, fan your own flames of desire to vitalize the life-giving power and go after what you want. I want you to have what you want in life. And fear-based beliefs in relation to criticism and rejection are only self-imposed restrictions in mind, although once unconscious. So it's not a person's fault. I mean, who goes around consciously identifying with that kind of programming? And it can be released so they can do what they really want to do. Fear of rejection and criticism has nothing to do with others. The illusion is that it may seem that way. Let them be. They will transform to reflect the beliefs that are true and lovely to your vision. I've seen this since the day I picked up a copy of Think and Grow Rich in 2004, and it remains true till this day. No one to change but self. This is transmutation. So fear-based beliefs in regards to criticism, rejection, when it comes to doing what you love and relating ideally with others, can be released to enjoy a more flow-based journey of life. Now let's pull up the spiritual alchemy process here, which shall serve as our guide through our journey of cultivating our relationship with ourselves, bringing these fears to peace with self-talk. I mean, who other than yourself, who knows what you desire to that degree, what your desires mean, and how they vitalize your journey into the unknown, bringing to awareness via the light of self-talk, to purify thoughts of unnecessary self-rejection and untrue associations to rejection, which is not how you truly are. You are someone who goes after what they want, remains on the path towards your vision, and anything that seems to show up on the journey that seems to hold you back actually does not, for they are only illusions, spawned from beliefs in mind and brought to peace, so that they may fall aside like the garments that no longer fit your style. Now, every journey to realizing a vision begins with a desire. You have a desire. You want to live a certain way. Nothing wrong with that. You don't need my approval. Actually, you don't need anyone's approval. The journey to realizing your vision, stimulated by your desire, is part of a sacred inward journey from and through your divine source. You came to experience all that you desire, while also knowing yourself in the process, beyond theoretical conjecture, rather personal experience, reference experience revealing what truth is. So I've been working with this spiritual alchemy process as a subtle guide, not in a dogmatic way. These are my intuitive reflections on the process from experience, which may vary from one school of thought to another, spawned from ancient Egypt, which I'd like to further encourage for you as well, to reveal your own way. Release any bias identification in mind of one way being better than another. Apply what works in a way that works for you. So first in the 7 stages, we have calcination, which represents the black stage, which symbolizes what has been hidden and buried in the unconscious when one embarks on a worldly journey to realizing a vision, whatever the worldly goal may be. They also at the same time undergo an esoteric inward journey in mirror reflection. This is what I found on my entrepreneurial journey since 2009. Every change outside corresponds to an inner change, which then is reflected as outer change. During the process, certain beliefs that were brought to the surface in regards to fear of criticism, rejection, representing over-identification or holding on to inside, inharmonious ways of being which play out as worldly circumstances, were given opportunity to be released. As James Allen stated, thought and character are one, and as character can only manifest and discover itself through environment and circumstance, the outer conditions of a person's life will always be found to be harmoniously related to their inner state. Now, these psychological attachments are at times unknown, unless one enters a cave that they fear to enter. For example, those fears didn't show up as vividly prior to starting my business or when I started my public speaking journey in 2010 when I was teaching the speed reading workshops. They were not really given an opportunity to be revealed prior, and through those initiatives, they were. That's because the opportunities resided outside of conformity, which interestingly, upon connecting the dots looking backwards, this conformity would indirectly keep me from doing things I wanted to do in other areas of my life. And I know because having released identification to those beliefs, I noticed I was living more boldly in other areas of my life in the years that followed, which is why I like a good challenge, as those conformity-based beliefs seem to discourage challenge, suppressing my desire, and I'll have no part in that, as challenge is stimulating for my flow. Now, we have the ability to release the unnecessary identification to those restrictive beliefs in relation to rejection, criticism by self-talk, so that the things we truly want to do, which may seem restricted by fear, no longer appear that way, and they are experienced as flow-based and stimulating rather than stifling. This is why I always mention that I enjoy the journey and the destination. The destination, you get there, and the journey is who you become, how you feel, how you relate, and the experience, the self-confidence, the skills cultivated, and they are as joyous as the destination. The journey high is everlasting, vitalizing, and transformative to the self-image. You actually remain as a flow-based autotelic person, so that when you get to the destination, you are stimulated for the next journey, vitalized by desire as life continues, an exciting adventure, childlike in our ways. So consider calcination as the starting point for your journey. Second, we have dissolution. Dissolving the ashes into water, symbolically we see hidden parts of ourselves, of what we were once afraid of and may have suppressed and not explored, brought to awareness. So I remember when I was about to leave my 10-year career, corporate career, and start the business in 2009. There was this fear of criticism prior to making the move. And although I did not let those fear-based beliefs stop me, nevertheless, they showed up reflected in conversations with others. I remember having a few conversations with others that we could say were pretty discouraging, and the discouragement had nothing to do with them. It provided an opportunity to have a conversation with myself about what was being shared. Now, one of the aspects of the dissolution phase is certain memories of experiences which formed subconscious beliefs brought to awareness through others by how we relate to what others say to us, not to dwell in further, but rather to bring them to peace. Our subconscious mind is our friend, and we release these beliefs with self-talk, like you would with a mentor. Only here you are mentoring yourself, and one of the effects is deepening the relationship with yourself. I did this by changing the frame size, we call it, which, by the way, if you're interested in learning about language pattern, belief change, self-talk, inspired by Robert Dilts, I'll link to a video where we discuss them in another context. So the conversation with myself went something like, over the course, I'll see I will be able to share this experience with others, and it will feel rewarding as they too can be inspired to do what they love. This kind of self-talk releases the identification to those beliefs, specifically fear of criticism, and also this is thinking from the end, your end in mind. Reality is what you are being now inside. And interestingly, this actually ended up being true, as we're discussing it in the video here. So it's amazing how powerful self-talk is. It literally paves what you shall experience in the future. So the key in this part is to write the beliefs that come to mind during your journey to realizing your vision in relation to fear of criticism and rejection, and having a conversation with yourself about them, to self-persuade, to do the thing you want to do anyways. At times you may notice just by writing them down is enough to release identification to them. For awareness, by its very nature, is healing for the mind. You'll notice then your initiatives become easier because you have released identification to the beliefs by bringing awareness to them. In stage 3, we have separation. So it is this part where we are separating what is not true to how we are and true to how we are. Clear distinction. Wisdom is knowing the difference, as they say. We know that subconscious beliefs that we once blindly accepted as true can play out in the different areas of our lives and can be revealed even in conversations with others. In this phase, we are actually in deeper peace as we continue the journey, excited about what is revealed because we know that if we release the belief identification, the emotions are experienced differently. Emotional relatability to experiences arise from how the individual believes the world to be, according to how events are believed to have come about, and what implications events are believed to have, according to appraisal theory. So in this part, we learn to a higher degree what we believe in and no longer believe in, so we can be authentic to how we are. Now, some of us might not have identification to fear of criticism or rejection as pronounced, as perhaps they have not accepted these beliefs as true in their lives. And for some of us, like myself, I did growing up. So the entrepreneur's journey provided me not only the opportunity to have the life that I want, but also find peace within myself in these areas. So let's look at fear of rejection. It was easier for me to go through life prior to my entrepreneurial journey, remaining in a certain degree of conformity because there was no real challenge to the degree to stimulate these beliefs into awareness, bring them into the light. Those of you in sales know exactly what I mean. One might start the sales process with confidence, and then rejection after rejection seems to discourage them. And they may even dwell in the fear of rejection further by shaming or condemning themselves during or after the experience. This is where we have the opportunity to apply the spiritual alchemy process, or a process like this. Actually face their fears and allow subconscious beliefs to be brought to awareness to discern, where they can ask simple questions regarding their validity. For example, is it really true to how I am ideally? You always hear me say in my videos, you are your ideal now. By asking this question, you are actually acknowledging that you are your ideal now, and thus saturating your mind with ideal ideas via this kind of self-talk. So again, journaling helps, which is really a matter of asking yourself some questions as to what you believe will happen if you take the step in the direction of rejection or criticism. Asking yourself if it is true to how you are ideally, which brings us to the next stage, conjunction. So here's where, from the journaling, which if you're a student of my subconscious mind program, you'll see the similarity here, although said differently, which is really based on the fact that all personal development information points to the same thing. Be who you want to be, releasing identification to restrictive beliefs to allow yourself to be how you want to be. So here from the journaling, the beliefs that show up and self-reflection, you will also notice inspiration. This is where the magic happens. You have a heightened degree of clarity. Others show up to contribute. Information seems to show up synchronistically. Ideas seem to show up in mind of the attributes of how you truly desire to be. And this is where you write them down and turn them into autosuggestions, like, for example, the ones that I share at the end of my videos, which have a number of what I would consider ideal attributes woven together. See, this happens anyways. When you consume information from others, they share their beliefs in the information you consume. So you might as well create ones tailored for you, by you, and accept your own suggestions. As a result, you'll find it's easier to do the things you want to do as there is less or no resistance because you no longer identify with those restrictive beliefs. So rather than dragging that psychological baggage around into interactions with others and suffering in the process, you experience more flow and bliss as you have released identification to those beliefs, while also acknowledging, which happens at the same time, you are your ideal now, and it proves itself reflected in your experience. So you actually feel better in those experiences. And you'll notice, like I did, sales becomes easy, public speaking easy. If you see someone who you're interested in talking to, you walk up to them and talk to them. And actually you'll find as a result, it works out ideally. In business, this is where we see sales reps increasing their conversion numbers. And for example, if someone has a business putting out videos on YouTube or posts on Instagram or TikTok or something like that, they do it with ease, no longer self-restricted by the fear of rejection, criticism, or failure. Next, we have fermentation. Now, here's where we really see a person come out of their shell. Actually, that metaphor describes it perfectly. It's a rebirth, split into two parts: putrefaction and spiritization. The putrefaction refers to further release of what is not in harmony to such a degree that the person now experiences themselves like a different person. They may even start to physically look different. I've seen this in myself and many others. There's this radiant glow, a sense of authentic confidence. A person becomes so comfortable and authentic that in the world of business, arts, or athletics, they become iconic. The same is to be said in whatever one experiences outside of these areas, as one does not need to be publicly known to enjoy a wonderful life. There's a sense of deep inner security and confidence that is felt by their friends, family, co-workers, and people around them. They also understand the sixth sense, intuition, listening to themselves, higher self, holy guardian angel, true inner voice, going beyond mental chatter, although they may describe those ideas differently, as I've had many conversations with those who symbolize fermentation and rebirth into the authentic self, although they may say it differently. I also found when working with this process, this whole cycle never seems to end, at least not for me and others that I've spoken with. There always seems to be higher realizations, which is why I always recommend releasing from dogma or limiting ideas about life that seem to suppress or stifle your desire for the next vision. This journey is infinite. You are infinite. Comprehend, if you can, infinity. No matter how it is conceptualized, it shall be challenged beyond that conceptualization, and that's a wonderful thing. With spiritization, one may notice sudden rushes of ecstasy for no reason. Looking at the world with a heightened awareness, inner peace, and stillness in aspects of our lives that once seemed to bring out turmoil. Others will acknowledge this about you as well. the ability to remain calm during chaos. Number 6, we have distillation. So here's where we start finding flow in other things we did not find it in before. And we actually find that challenges related to criticism, rejection, are accepted as they are no longer feared. The desires of the heart are followed through and not feared. And what I found with myself is I actually pursue new challenges and welcome them because upon connecting the dots looking backwards, the journey was actually quite fun. Any suffering along the way with regards to fear of criticism or rejection was a result of lack of self-acceptance, which through observing the process of our journey through a lens like this, we see how it works. And through this awareness, onward to the next challenge we go. And what I also notice is, as a result, rejection actually seems to stimulate laughter. Not laughter at anyone, but rather inward laughter, like a child plays, with attempt after attempt over and over again while enjoying the process, and with each attempt vitalized by desire to move forward with the initiative till it is complete. Thus, a healthy relationship with desire is also experienced. Spontaneous bliss also, and lasting for longer durations, even in seemingly mundane tasks, let alone initiatives that once evoked fear of rejection or criticism. Then finally, we have coagulation, oneness with the divine. Again, beyond theory and conjecture, rather embodiment of the divine. The inner and outer are known as one. Paradoxes are reconciled, and it seems that by mere intention, things seem to move. Obstacles seem to part, and that which we would go, let's say, out of our way to face rejection and criticism, to bring those attributes to peace, is now turned around, and those opportunities seem to come to us without lifting a finger. Now, this is a wonderful point to be at. Even information that we learn from others are acknowledged as but one path as you find your own path. You seem to understand the infinite within, perhaps differently than others do, and that's fine. You have no desire to argue with this world, which may have actually been an effect of identification with fear-based beliefs in regards to criticism and rejection. And now those days are gone. You let it be and live how you truly want to live. So cherish your desires. They are the visions, the promise of what you shall one day be. The challenges along the way, well, they're sources of excitement and practical realization of your power as onward and upward to higher degrees of realization you go, as everything you touch along the way turns to gold. So I trust you found this video to be helpful. Let's go ahead and conclude this with an auto-suggestion to further encourage. You can say, I value the journey to the destination, and thus fears reveal to me the caves where my treasures reside. From this foundation, I acknowledge all on the path as in harmony and in contribution to my vision, as I already am my ideal now, and thus allow the world to rearrange by my self-acceptance. Full completion inside, stimulated by the desires of my heart, turning everything I touch into gold, paving the way as the road of prosperity realized on my flow-based first-class journey of self-realization. If you would like a copy of this mind map, the link is in the description. Thank you very much for watching. I'll talk with you soon. Take care.